If you drive a luxury car, wear designer brands, and still feel stressed every time your credit card statement arrives, you may be trapped inside the most expensive financial scam ever created. Not because you're irresponsible, not because you're bad with money, because an entire industry has spent decades teaching Americans to confuse status with wealth. And the scary part? Most people don't realize they're trapped until it's too late. Until the debt becomes normal, until the payments become permanent, until they wake up one day with a garage full of status symbols and a bank account that can't survive a minor emergency. By the end of this video, you'll understand why millions of Americans are working harder than ever, earning more than ever, and still falling behind financially. More importantly, you'll discover the one mindset shift that quietly separates future millionaires from people who spend their entire lives performing success. Phase 1. The Status Trap. Last Sunday, imagine walking into a crowded brunch restaurant. One guy arrives wearing designer sneakers, luxury belt, luxury watch, BMW key fob sitting perfectly on the table where everyone can see it. From the outside, he looks successful. But 20 minutes later, when the check arrives, everything changes. Suddenly, he's moving money between accounts, checking multiple banking apps, trying to delay payments, calculating whether he can afford a simple restaurant bill. And that's when you realize something most Americans never understand. Looking wealthy and being wealthy are completely different things. One creates attention, the other creates freedom, and modern society has become obsessed with the wrong one. Because today, success isn't measured by net worth, it's measured by appearances. The car you drive, the watch you wear, the vacation photos you post, the lifestyle you can display. And that's exactly what makes the trap so dangerous. Because the next step is where companies begin turning insecurity into profit. Phase 2. The billion-dollar status industry. Luxury brands discovered something extraordinary decades ago. There simply aren't enough rich people. Think about it. A company selling only to multi-millionaires would eventually run out of customers. So luxury brands created a second market, a much larger market. People who aren't rich but desperately want to look rich. That's why entry-level luxury exists. The cheapest Mercedes, the cheapest BMW, the cheapest Gucci item, the cheapest Rolex-adjacent experience. These products aren't designed for wealthy people. They're designed for aspiring people. People chasing an identity. People buying a symbol. People hoping the logo changes how the world sees them. And for a brief moment, it works. But there's a hidden cost most people never calculate, and once you see the math, you'll never look at luxury purchases the same way again. Phase 3. The $500,000 mistake. Let's compare two people. Both earn $100,000 per year. Same income, same opportunities, same starting point. Person A finances a luxury SUV. Person B buys a reliable used vehicle. The difference in monthly cost? Roughly $700. Doesn't sound life-changing, but that's because most people think monthly. Wealthy people think decades. That $700 invested every month into simple index funds earning historical market returns can become hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. The luxury SUV owner sees transportation. The investor sees future freedom. One purchase feels rewarding today, the other becomes rewarding forever. This is where wealth creation begins separating from wealth performance. And yet, money isn't the real reason people keep making this mistake. The real reason is psychological, and that's where things get uncomfortable. Phase 4. The addiction nobody talks about. Most luxury purchases aren't financial decisions. They're emotional decisions disguised as financial decisions. Nobody buys a $500 belt because it holds pants better. Nobody buys a luxury logo because the stitching changed their life. They're buying certainty, validation, status, recognition. The purchase says, "Look at me, respect me, notice me." The problem: external validation behaves exactly like an addiction. The feeling fades, then you need another purchase, another upgrade, another luxury experience, another status symbol. The hole never gets filled because the problem was never the product. The problem was the insecurity underneath it. And while millions of people chase the appearance of success, a completely different group is quietly building something far more valuable. Phase 5. How actual wealthy people think. Here's one of the strangest truths about money. The richer people become, the less interested they often are in looking rich, because genuine wealth changes the scoreboard. They stop asking, "What will people think?" and start asking, "What will this become?" An investor sees opportunity, a consumer sees appearance, an owner sees cash flow, a spender sees monthly payments. The wealthy focus on invisible assets, investments, businesses, equity, cash reserves, retirement accounts. The average person focuses on visible assets, cars, clothes, luxury experiences, social media content. One group buys attention, the other buys freedom, and over time, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. Phase 6. The invisible wealth formula. Want a simple rule? Build invisible wealth before visible wealth. Emergency fund first, investments second, assets third, luxury later. Not never, later. Because luxury purchased from wealth feels completely different than luxury purchased from debt. One creates confidence, the other creates pressure. One feels earned, the other feels rented. Most people reverse the process. That's why they're constantly stressed. Their lifestyle expanded before their foundation existed, and eventually, every financial storm exposes the weakness underneath, which leads to the final lesson, the lesson that changes everything. Phase 7. The future version of you. 10 years from now, nobody will care what car you drove in 2026. Nobody will remember the designer shoes. Nobody will remember the luxury apartment. But your future self will absolutely feel the consequences of every financial decision you make today. Every dollar invested, every unnecessary payment avoided, every status purchase resisted, every asset acquired. The battle isn't between rich and poor, it's between builders and performers. Builders delay attention, performers sacrifice the future for attention. The choice happens every single day, and eventually the results become visible. Most people watching this video will understand everything we discussed and still continue chasing appearances, still financing status, still buying symbols, still hoping expensive things create a wealthy life. But a small percentage will make a different decision. They'll start building invisible wealth. They'll choose ownership over appearance, freedom over validation, assets over status. Comment freedom if you're choosing to become wealthy instead of simply looking wealthy. Because the moment you stop trying to impress strangers is often the exact moment your real wealth journey begins.